In the last video I talked about my thought of what could happen. Now we have the chapter 259 spoilers, so without wasting your time, subscribe and bring some food, and let's enjoy together. So the chapter 259 start Yuji and Choso plus Kamo, and Yuji asks Choso to teach convergence. But Choso isn't really a good teacher, so Kamo teach Yuji instead of him, and he explained clearly how blood manipulation plus convergence works. In the same page Yuji reveals that the second person he swapped with is Yuta Akatosu. Like we said before, he the first person who swapped with is Kusakabe to learn simple domain. But the second swapper we didn't know who, so now we know is Yuta, and that's logical because he used RDC. Okay, only by going through the cooking processes of both dismantle and also clave, will door, Camino opens. It lacks the speed relative to its fire and has a narrator effect range. To resolve this issues, Sukuna imposed a binding vow upon himself. Moving on, Yuram said, "It's our win." As narrator continues to explain that Kamino's heat results in decompression, overpressure leading to death of being inside the domain. This is Ryaman Sukuna's ultimate technique. That slaughtered Mahorigane one strike. Moving on. So before the flames could hit Yuji, Choso sacrifices himself, makes a barrier of blood around him to protect Yuji. That what I like about Choso, and I respect him too, because to sacrifice your life for someone, not anyone can do it. That's why Choso is special on that. So Choso slowly dies as he says I'm sorry for being useless during our training. So in simple words, Choso is dead. I will talk about that in analyzing part. Back to the page. Yuji scolds, says you can't just disappear. Choso says right, I need to apologize to Isakumoto. And Choso says also that he's sorry for leaving him alone. Yuji respond with, you were always by my side when times were the toughest. That's more than enough. I think Yuji is believing 100% that Choso is her older brother, and that's what should be. Choso said right. And we also sang, big bro, are you there? Choso says I'm right here. Kachiza says, brother, I'm cold. Choso, it's alright, let's talk. Choso says also, if we talk together we will forget about the cold. The 150 years experience was only few to Yuji. Back to reality, Choso departs with final words. Thank you, Yuji, for becoming my brother. Yuji says goodbye as he finally says, thank you, Aniki. Wow, what a masterpiece we will see. Anyways, as everything crumbles down, Yuji helplessly asks, guys, someone. You want to know if anyone's still alive. Please, author of JJK, don't end every character in this stupid way, okay? So narrator says, Yuji convinced himself he was a cog. No matter what happened, he was meant to fulfill his role. But as the scorched earth's heat begins to push his way, it shook the foundation of his resolve. The resolve is to repay his brother who sacrificed his life to protect him. So we see Sukuna coming towards our boy. Suddenly Todo shows up with his big muscles to save the moment. We see flashback to Do plus Mei planned on how to rescue people trapped inside Sukuna's domain. It's a good idea to try, but their lifts are not germinated. Mei says since To Do will be outside of Sukuna's domain, he had expanded his CT's range by a lot, so she asks if he can really do it with those arms. To Do says he's not really sure of succeeding, but he says he can feel the heartbeat of Boogie Woogie, and To Do says that they can't let Yuji know about this plan. Yuji and Sukuna were two souls in one body, even thought it's just in past. That connection himself is strong, so there's possibility of their plane unknowingly being spilled to Sukuna. After that, the narrator says even To Do was uncertain of his allies' safety plus couldn't manage to move Choso plus Yuji is outside cause both of them were right. At the certain of domain, he couldn't explain all this to Yuji, so To Do tries to encourage him by saying, I'm sorry, brother. But they're other sorcerers, probably alright. And we sees him screaming his words like his life depends on it. And the chapter ends with Yuji and To Do rushes towards Sukuna, as narrator reveals that Sukuna is at state where it's difficult to use his cursed technique after the domain expansion. Firstly, To Do, the last time we saw him is helping Yuji in fight with Mahito and Shibuya. From that time we didn't saw him at all, so he showed up now with a plan to end the King of Curses. I think it will damage him, but I don't think we will see Sukuna die in chapter 260. Listen, in my view I think Yuji will lose and Gojo will come back and fight Sukuna and win against him. Tell me in the comments below if you agree. Okay, let's talk about the death of Shoso. Firstly and mostly in Jujutsu Kaisen it's important to have some sacrifices. Because they are fighting Ryam and Sukuna who cut Gojo Satoru the character in Jujutsu Kaisen in half. I think Gojo Satoru will come back later. But anyway, guys, this is just a guess, but I think a lot of sorcerers will gonna die in next chapters. This is just a guess. I think Yuta and Maki and will live in this arc. Yuki, I don't think so. Kuzukabe, I don't think so. Yuji, of course. And Hikari, I'm confused about that for now. Tell in the comments your opinion. Mei and Yui, I think they will live. I was talking about the death of Shoso really. So what I was trying to explain from all this that he is not the only one who gonna die in this arc in my guess. So prepare your tissue. Because you will cry so hard in this arc. We told that Sukuna flames are extremely powerful, but the trade-off is that moves very slowly. And it's a small range of effect. So in order to combat this, Sukuna placed Binding Vow on himself, where he can only use it against one target. So he can't use the fire arrow against multiple people. But except during domain expansion, let's simple it. The Binding Vow in exchange for making fire arrow faster and have a larger area of effect. The condition is use it against one person only. I think what gonna happen the rematch of the comeback of Gojo vs Sukuna. I feel like I know what the narrator will put in next chapters, and like I said except of domain expansion, so Sukuna if he expands his domain and everything in that radius is getting wrecked, that is creating residue of everything has been completely annihilated, and the property of the dust those remains if you will. They had explosive cursed energy property, that when Sukuna uses the fire arrow it lights everything on the domain. So everything who got destroyed becomes this tinder for a massive chemical explosion. Some people says, Sukuna could use fire arrow against Gojo anytime he wanted and he didn't need 10 shadows or Maharaga. That's not the true, because the narrator explains that due to the constant domain clashes between Gojo and Sukuna, both of Thel were continuously adjusting the parameters of their domains and their barriers and their conditions. So because of that the fire arrow wasn't really a choice for Sukuna to use. It wouldn't able to generate enough power, so that why Sukuna sealed it away and didn't use it against Gojo Satoru. He was not holding back or something. Guys, it's Gojo Satoru who the idiot that will hold back against him. If done just a small mistake in his fight he could be the one got cut in half, not Gojo. And in the fight between Sukuna and Gogo, he used it for two reasons. First, he was just one person, so there's no need to use the expansion domain. This is the reason that made Gogo get beaten up because he used a very powerful technique with its advantages. And without even the domain expansion, because he didn't need it at all. I think Gogo is kind of bad-tempered. So anyway guys, I will upload the full review when the chapter comes out. So see you later, have a great wonderful day.